know as is TGH, but anytime I get to watch TGH run, I find it a treat. He's such a skilled player, and Odinspack also with a win under his belt. I'm sure that he's going to put on quite a show today too. And it looks like we're actually already underway. Squirtle on TGH's side, and I don't recognize the sprite on Odinspack's side, but they are off, and in Uncle's hut they're already fighting a bomb capacity upgrade. What do you think the Uncle's going to have today?
Well, I'm always a fan of the blue cane myself. I think that's the trolliest item, and though a lot of people do prefer it, but Hammer's my personal preference.
Interesting. So I'll vote red cane. I like knowing where it is. I like having it out of the way, and I like it as a harbinger of potential early Turtle Rock.
It's an excellent item to have. It uses very little magic to be reusable, and you're right, it does open up quite a bit. But the bow.
Yeah, today we have the bow and 30 arrows, and in the green guard pack, that was a 10 arrow drop and half magic right here, right out of the gate. Not going to be useful with that bow, but is going to be useful in general. So this is a great start.
I'm very eager to see a map check once they finish Escape. If each runs a crystal, that's going to be their first trip.
Yeah, I know for a fact TGH absolutely comfortable with dark rooms. I'm not 100% sure on Odinspack, but the Eastern dark rooms are not too bad. As long as you have a surplus of arrows, you can kind of use them to calibrate your position and get through. So I would not be surprised to see that bow lead us into an early Eastern.
So I don't know if that's a secretive mana sprite that Odin is using. TGH has... Is that from a game, or is it just a general turtle type sprite?
That is from a game in a sense. It's a Pokemon called Squirtle. Or Zenny, I think is the Japanese name for it. I don't know. Chat saying it looks like a Ganon sprite, and yeah, it kind of does. So this might be an interpretation of Ganon, or Ganondorf.
You're right, that is the Ganondorf sprite that Odin's using.
But yeah, shout-outs to, while we're in the Escape, our community of sprite developers who have given us all of these great different sprites to use for A Link to the Past Rando. It really is nice to see players be able to kind of express what they want the Link avatar to be. And we'd be remiss if we didn't comment that Odin's has already gotten a bomb, and there's the bomb for TGH, so both players are going to be able to check the 3 chests on their way out.
And we had both players pick up the blue mail in the vanilla boomerang room. They only have 3 hearts. It's going to be very nice to have that safety that cuts damage in half right off the bat.
Yeah, blue mail will probably influence how many hearts the runners choose to pick up over the course of the run, so it's always nice to find that one early.
There's a message that the uncle can say on startup. It says red mail is for cowards, and VTorp may feel that way, but I think most runners will prefer to have at least the blue mail going forward.
Yeah, I've gotten a lot more comfortable working with green mail since taking some time and doing some NMG work. But I think that blue mail, while unnecessary, isn't unwelcome. I know TGH, very, very comfortable with NMG, has the number 9 time on the speedrun.com leaderboard with a 1 hour, 25 minute, 33 second PB, and also, I won't say coincidentally, because he's also very, very good at Randomizer, the number 9 ranking on the speedrunslive.com leaderboard for Randomizer. No time, of course, associated with that, but a very accomplished player in both domains. He may not give 2 hoots about that blue mail, but it is good to have. Odinspack has said that he does not do any NMG work, and so is mostly just a rando aficionado, as well as just a general A Link to the Past fan. And so he might be more used to getting things like blue and red mail.
It's one of those items that you're not going to go out of your way for, but if you get it in the chest like these runners did, you're definitely not going to feel ungrateful for it.
Yeah, you say that. And then the other night I was doing a rando, even after a bunch of NMG practice, and saw that blue mail on Zora's Ledge, and I made the trip over to grab it, so I don't know if that's cowardly or not.
Fortunately, both of them have their bomb. They were able to farm the bomb and escape, and we get our first look at here. We have bottle, the mirror, and the map. So there will be an item in Sanctuary. I don't think they got the key.
Yep. Well, they have to get the key to get through to the back of Escape, so the key will always be in the front part. But finding that bee and that mirror, those are pretty. Sorry to the B-Torp fans out there, but the bottle is the real value there. That's going to help them in their Kakariko cleanup coming up here. They're going to be able to check the sick kid guaranteed.
It's nice to get that particular fetch quest out of the way when you don't have to worry about routing it in later. And of course, they can always sell that bee for a little extra money.
Is it a shiny bee? I guess I didn't catch whether it was a sellable bee, but the hammer here in the Sanctuary chest, we should take a moment and mention the raw power output of hammer so early. And our tier 2 tree pull, just 5 arrows. I thought TGH then immediately killed another enemy. Checking the bush crab here, just finding hearts from the hoarder crabs today. He might be setting up the tier 3 pull as well for Lost Woods.
That seems most likely. The tier 3 pull being killing 4 enemies while taking 0 damage.
Exactly. That's something that, because of the inconvenience of it, you sometimes will see runners not even bother to check it, but it looks like with the hammer, he's having a little bit of a bush guard surprise there. But yeah, taking care. Oh, I didn't catch if that crow there hit him or not.
I didn't either. I did see that there was a red ruby at the lumberjack on Odin's side, so we definitely won't need to go through Aghanim to get that item.
Yeah, Aghanim, if it's required, will not be for that red rupee, so I don't think we'll see either runner go back and get that big 20 at the lumberjack. But ooh, big magic. So I guess TGH did get that pull set up. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying, it looks like TGH did pull it off and avoided the damage.
Yeah, I don't know if he got the 4 kills or if that was the tier 1 pull, but I assume that it was the tier 3. But it's good to know that that's an option for the runners if they do find themselves out of magic. I'm trying to think of where that might come up. Usually magic concerns are something for like Skullwoods, but with half magic, I don't think that we'll see either runner go out of the way to set up that tier 2 pull.
On the ice rod and the first glove in Blind's basement.
Yeah, so we are a moon pearl away from Dark World access already, just barely into Kakariko. And what's that bottle going to turn into its sick kid here? The lamp for Odinspack.
Over on TGH's side, we just got the fire rod, so we got both rods out of the way.
Hoo-wee. We could be in for a brisk seed today. I hope that something shows up to troll a little bit, but this is right out of the gates. Kakariko delivering the goods.
The lamp, of course, now puts Eastern fully on logic, and that being a crystal, increases the likelihood that would be an early stop and a full clear.
Yeah, I would be surprised if we see the runners go to Dark World before going over to Eastern, unless the Moon Pearl shows up right here, right now. But I think we might see Eastern before South Shore. I don't know how you feel about skipping South Shore. I mean, with the value that this version places on your sort of first sphere of locations.
I think South Shore
Yeah.
still has the priority because you have the two dam items, but the mirror, they won't even have to transition to get both items. And then, of course, the 5 from Mini Moldoran Cave. That is 7 items versus the 6 that they will get from going to Sash's Hut and Eastern. Makes it slightly more valuable.
Yeah, and a good point from Zelnas, our restreamer in chat. Shoutouts to Zelnas for all of the hard work he's doing to bring this match to everyone today and give the runners a restream and us a venue to commentate. But he comments that the runners may want to delay doing Eastern to double it up with Pod, and that seems very reasonable.
That's a good point. Unless they're specifically looking for progression, they don't really have anything to gain by going there.
Yeah, and
that's another reason they may wish to go to the South Shore, because there's nothing in Eastern that's going to be unlocked. That will necessarily. I'm sorry. There's nothing that either of those areas will unlock that will open up the other one. It's all open now.
Yeah, and TGH completing his overworld sweep there, or for CAC at least, his CAC sweep. Looks like he is going back to Sanctuary, so we'll see where this takes him.
Death Mountain, perhaps.
Yep. Looks like Death Mountain right away is the play. Even though Tower of Hera is just a red-blue pendant. So this is... It's an interesting call. I like the call. It's going to set up the save and quit here at the Old Man. With Hammer and Mirror, he can do all of the east side. And so there's a lot of items over here.
There's definitely a lot of value, even if he decides not to go into Hera or to check Hera for items and then leave without completing it.
Yeah, and Odinspack, meanwhile, looks like he is going to make that Eastern play. So both runners sort of blowing off South Shore for now. We'll see how that works out for them.
It's nice to see the early diversions. The viewers will at least get some knowledge here.
Yeah, I hope we get some knowledge too. But I'm really adept at missing things. So this is a plea to chat to please keep me in check. But there's red mail on Odinspack's screen. Confirmed cowardice. He couldn't even stop it from happening, so not by choice. But getting that red mail, that's going to be a nice piece of protection for the run.
I'll give them a pass on cowardice when it's forced cowardice.
We're going to see a Dark World check here. Looks like 5 and 6 are Mire and Skullwoods. Looked like Thieves Town was a pendant and Swamp was a pendant, if I saw that right. And I didn't see that right. No, I think it was just Thieves Town was a pendant.
It was, yeah, Thieves Town was blue pendant.
Yeah.
The other 2 pendants are, of course, in Light World.
Yeah, exactly.
Thieves Town it's a good and a bad one to be a pendant. It's there's nothing, because it's so early, accessible early on. You're tempted to go in there even if it's a pendant, and it's one of those dungeons that there always seems to be something good there.
Yeah, you say good and bad. I loathe Pendant Thieves Town because I find that I'm almost always just going to full clear it pretty invariably, and so when I'm not getting a crystal out of it, it feels bad. And
that's the bad part, yeah.
Yeah, I find I just get punished for skipping it. There's always something in there. But if the runners are able to skip Thieves Town, that could provide a nice time save just by getting around that early dungeon, but always at a risk. It's pretty item dense, especially in the front.
because they have the hammer, they might be tempted to go in there knowing that they can full clear it. It's we got TGH. Looks like he's doing the full hair clear, even though that too is a pendant.
Yeah, and this is part of just the overall item density of Death Mountain. And a nice little bumper boost there for a little bit of extra movement speed. After getting the skip from TGH, his movement really is quite nice. But just trying to clear out as many locations per unit time as possible. And just check through as much as fast as he can and get all of the information. A really nice hammer Moldorm, not trolled at all. Some of the movement a little off from Moldorm, but just following kind of the patterns of Moldorm's movement as much as possible. He makes it through the fight cleanly, gets his red pendant.
Picks up another bottle. I didn't see whether or not that was the first or the second item in the dungeon. I guess there's one more. He's going back in.
Yeah, looks like we're headed for the basement. When in doubt, I usually just let the runners let me know there, because if there was an item, he was going back in for it.
Definitely, and the seed gave you 2 fire sources, so there's no reason to skip it.
Odinspack coming up on his Armos Knight fight, getting the red Igors in one cycle with a little left-right trickery, and going for a bottom-right quick kill on Armos. We'll see if he's able to clean this up. Okay, going with the 6 arrows up strat, no left, is interesting, and lets that last one change. I think it took 19 arrows. I think one of them ended up in the wall, but a pretty quick fight.
Very good positioning. That's the positioning that you typically see during the Ice Armos fight.
Yeah, and there are a bunch of different strats you can take for Armos. Ice Armos, you really only have access to the bottom right one, because while the regular Armos on normal ground, or Armos Knights on normal ground, you can kind of move around the arena pretty quickly and get into position. That's just much harder to do when the fight's on ice, so it really restricts the number of quick kills you have access to, but almost all of them within, frames to seconds of one another, so executing nicely.
Sorry, it looks like Odinspack skipped the vanilla big key chest, and now has to backtrack for that.
Yeah, he had 2 items and was kind of left with a 50-50. Went upstairs. Unfortunately, didn't work out. A lot like TGH had to go back in for basement, although that's a little more conventional of a play. Sometimes, you accept a few seconds time loss when these gambles don't work out.
TGH finds the single arrow in the spiral cave.
We'll see if he finds himself using all of his arrows later, if that arrow gets to stick around, if he gets to hold it until he is finally ready to fight Ganon. See if he finds silvers at any point.
Unless we find the mitts here, we're approaching the end of his Death Mountain trip. Just these 7 items left.
Yeah, and unfortunately, those 2 chests are a mystery. So we'll see if anything shows up.
1 heart piece for Odinspack and the last Eastern item. Moon Pearl. And
there it is. So yeah, Paradox Cave had our Dark World access.
Turned out to be a very good play for TGH indeed.
And we're getting, it was a book and red rupee. Thank you to the chat. So yeah, now TGH has all sorts of options. I think we're going to see that a Hype Cave and South Shore cleanup here through this portal, and also through utilization of Mirror. This is actually a really nice route here that TGH is able to take. Meanwhile, Odinspack making his way up to Death Mountain, getting the old man. He's going to get paid $20 for his escort service, and then probably is going to make his way through. We'll see if he chooses to go through all of Hera or not. And is it hype today? So far, no. It's just full of money.
That's maybe a 2 out of 10 on the hype scale.
Yeah. It wasn't that good, but it was pretty efficient. And TGH is going up. He is headed right over to pod, I think, and that's really nice because that's going to let him do a full clear of pod, and also is going to get him another crystal dungeon. So it's item dense, it's a crystal dungeon, it's in the logic. I like this call a lot.
It's very good. It gives them definitely the options afterwards. Odinspack on the other side, of course, we have going through the same round that TGH already did, so he will be getting his Moon Pearl in the end in probably 5 minutes or so.
Yeah, that pig bunny sprite on Odinspack's side was pretty awesome. I like that that Ganondorf bunny sprite. Hadn't seen that one before. And it looks like Odinspack is going to do Pendant Hera here. We'll see. We'll see how the Hera basement gets addressed after the Moldorm fight, if he goes all the way through, but I think he's probably hoping to just get those 2 items and get out, and it's unfortunately not going to work out that way because we know the basement does have that last item.
Well, he'll be able to save a little time if he decides to skip it. Fortunately, there wasn't anything of value there.
And TGH is about to stumble upon the trove of keys that is the front of Palace of Darkness, but at the end of it all, there are some items. So, 5 non-dungeon items here, or item pool items, in Palace of Darkness to find. We'll see if there's any progression. Looks like he's going to go without a key directly over to right side because that is the only way forward. So. Because that first chest was a map, this was entirely bow locked, but because the runners got the bow from the uncle, that really doesn't tell us anything.
Well, I believe the first item was the fighter shield. But the same outcome, of course, it makes the dungeon bow locked, so he's forced to go to the right side.
Okay. Must have seen it wrong or remembered it incorrectly, so my apologies, but thank you for catching that one. And there's that mushroom. So, very fetching mushroom. See if it turns into anything. A nice hammer Moldorm there from Odinspack.
Since he doesn't have the flute yet, it'll be interesting to see whether he decides to go north and turn in the mushroom and do a catfish check, or hold on to it for later on.
Yeah. Early mirror is so nice, especially when you don't have other mobility items like the flute or boots. Just in terms of shoring up routing and condensing the total amount of walking that you need to do to get around the map. It's going to make this, even if it turns out to be a very trolly seed, much faster than it would have been without, just by all of that sort of between worlds efficiency. And Odinspack, unfortunately, getting caught in baby jail here, and gonna have to let those tiles or dodge these tiles without a sword. So that's something that's worth commenting on at this point. The runners, no swords yet. And Odinspack is going to need to have some good dodging skills here, or that bee is going to need to be very aggro. Oh, yeah, unfortunately, taking the death in baby jail. Not much that could have been done about it, though.
That is a shame. He was fairly deep into that tile sequence at that point. Looks like he's gonna nope out of that. And, fortunately for him, it's not gonna cost him anything.
Yeah, it will, of course, weigh heavily on the mind of anyone who skips Hera Basement, though, so we'll see if he goes back and checks it if looking for Go Mode items later. Man, and these dead rocks also are being a little scummy as he's trying to check the floating island there. Nothing on it, but Odinspack does know he's up against TGH, who's known to be a very good runner, and so probably has it in mind that he needs to gamble a little more. So we may see that that Hera Basement just not come back.
Well, I think he'll be very happy once he finds his Moon Pearl in Paradox Cave.
Yeah. So if you're Odinspack, you get this Moon Pearl. What are you going to do? Well, what do you think the play is from here? Do you go and do the South Shore stuff with the mirror? Because that's probably where I would have ended up. But I do like this play from TGH to get over into Pod. Just a green rupee there in the big chest.
Well, for TGH, he had not gone to Eastern yet, so he had the items from Sasharala and Eastern that he could loop into that. Odin, on the other hand, he's already cleared Eastern. He's gotten his items. I would estimate that he'll either he'll do Hype Cave and then maybe Mirror and continue on to do the South Shore items. He has the book, so he might. Well, he can't do bombos because he has no sword. But I would expect that he probably would head towards Village of Outcasts and Spill Woods. He has the glove, the hammer, the pearl, and he has the fire rod to clear that dungeon. And that's a red crystal.
That's a good point about Bombos. Because he has the book, he can at least go find out what's there. And because so many item locations are blank, knowing whether he needs to go back there or not can be very, very valuable. I think it's worth it just to go over and check.
It's not. Of course, I got ahead of myself with Skull Woods because they do not yet have the sword.
Yeah, where do you think that sword's going to show up? I'd like to see one here in South Shore. I'd like to see it be, the sword has been there waiting the entire time, and the runners have just, not cared at all. Plowed on without it. They got their hammer. That's all they need until they got to slash the curtains.
Yeah, I definitely want to see it in a Sphere 1 location. Any place that they could have gotten to earlier and missed.
Yeah, TGH onto a pure hammer Helmasaur. We'll see if he uses arrow strats for the last phase. But I think we may just see a straight up hammer fight here. Phase 2 of Helmasaur with hammer can be really nasty. So, it looks like we are getting some bow strats here. I like this because that hammer hitbox is awful.
Phase 2 hammer is extremely difficult. Like you said, that without being able to hold a sword out to get a little bit of an extension, hammering forward versus sideways is very difficult, and it's only 8 arrow shots. He has the arrows to spare. And it looks like we are getting that South Shore check from Odinspack.
Yeah, and this is really nice. Oh, it needs to get in the door there, but does it? Using the mirror to delete the block, saving an entry and exit here and some block pushing.
Picked up the can of brine in the first chest.
Yeah, which that does open up Spike Cave in the logic. So that's something worth noting. Something that could have been checked or looped in that first Death Mountain trip that was left behind. It's going to be kind of a loose end for a while. We'll see what the mini Moldorm cave has here.
It's interesting that Odin is taking his portal with him as he progresses, so I'm be interested to see where he decides to go.
Yeah, there's not a lot down this way. He may loop this around back up into pod. But without flippers,
Yeah,
I'm not sure exactly how he's going to get there. My overworld's pretty bad.
I was thinking that he would leave the portal at the dam, check mini mortem, and then come back to the portal. If he had flippers, then taking it with him to get into pod makes more sense. Apparently, save and quit.
Okay, so carrying that portal a little while, and I think we're going to see some village outcasts here. So how Odinspack is routing this is probably about how I would have ended up doing this, and I definitely see the value in this play. Unfortunately, out of arrows at this point. Was the tier 2 tree pull arrows? I think it was.
Tier 2 was 4+ enemies and having taken damage. That's what they checked after completing escape.
Yeah, I thought that was arrows. The tier 3, then the no damage +4 enemies was the full magics.
He might be doing a pedestal check the way he's routing. I'm just going straight in the dark world.
Yeah, we'll probably see with Fire Rod if he decides to stick it out. With half magic, I think he will do all of Skull. It is a 5/6 crystal, so I think we'll probably see that ped check here on the back end of the Skull Woods trip.
Well, unfortunately, he still can't get to Mothula, so he may not continue all the way in.
Yeah, that is a very good point. The runners still don't have that sword. Hopefully a sword shows up here soon.
At this point, I'm putting my money on the first sword being in Pendant Thieves Town.
I think that's a pretty good bet. Definitely not going to bet against that in Odinspack, relying on the up hitbox of the hammer for that Gibdo. That was very well done. That up hitbox, very finicky. And we'll see how TGH takes down the Armos Knights today. Looks like he's going top right, the NMG strat here. It's going to be 5 and then 13 down. And that will be all of the Armos Knights. Really nice quick kill there from TGH getting his compass.
Nice execution. That's what you'd expect to see from someone who's done it thousands of times.
Look how happy that Squirtle is. He just got a crystal. Man, I like that sprite.
I like the red vest that he's wearing. That's particularly nice.
Does he have a vest? I just took it as the shell, but now that I'm picturing it as a vest, I love it.
It probably is just a shell, but I don't know. I like thinking of it as a vest.
Nah, he's totally got a red sweater vest on. Oh man, it warms my heart. This is the most adorable Squirtle.
I missed what was in the Skullwoods big chest that Odin opened.
Yeah, we got hook shot for Odin. So while we're memeing about with sweater vests, Odin is finding some progression here. Getting that hook shot. And unfortunately, Gibdo statue room going south with those Gibdos getting in there. Odin's just gonna...
He's making good use of his half magic and the fire rod.
Oh yeah, there's some value in half magic and fire rod for Skullwoods. But yeah, this is a nice piece of progression. This could send Odinspack back up to Death Mountain eventually. I guess he already has east side access, so the hookshot actually doesn't make a difference. So let's scratch that from the record. but I was thinking about getting over to Dark World, but that's just really Titan's Mitt at this point.
Excellent item to have, one that you definitely don't want to have to search for, but I don't think it actually opens up anything new at the moment. They need Titan's Mitts or Flippers for Swamp Palace.
Yeah, and unfortunately, Ped dead, but we may still see the check here from Odinspack. So Ped checks within a handful of seconds of one another from the runners. Really interesting. And we'll see where TGH is headed next. But yeah, Ped is still just that quarter heart. Don't think we're going to see either runner go back and actually pick that up.
So Odinspack was unable to, I guess,
Ooh,
doesn't know that he can't get the Mothula.
we're going to get jigated here in just a second. So if Schadenfreude is your thing, chat, get ready. Because we're going to find ourselves up against a curtain of vines in just a few minutes. This is unfortunate.
Everyone's done this, and it's one of the most frustrating things to happen, but like I said, everybody's done this.
Oh yeah, we'll see if he mirrors out or if he decides to take the Wallmaster out.
Looks like you remembered.
Oh, okay. So yeah, we ultimately got back on track, so that's good. Good that he didn't ride that the whole way.
Interesting
And
to see the
TGH,
save and quit there. I
yeah,
was expecting that he would continue down to Thieves Town.
yeah, that was an interesting call. Looks like we might be headed over to Desert. Oh no, looks like we're back to Dark World. So I wonder where Odinspack is headed right now.
Well, they might be
TGH.
checking the South Dark World spots, the Grove, south of the Grove Mirror spot, digging game, and then Mirror, and then walk up into Kakariko.
Yeah, that seems fairly likely, honestly. No Shelly. Oh no, we're headed in the opposite direction. Looks like Pod is the decision, or Catfish Pyramid. We'll see. So far, I think just a bomb pickup for TGH as far as items and thieves. Was there? He hasn't gotten a small key yet, so we'll see if when he menus if he has compass and map, and that'll let us know whether he got a second. It looks like he got 2 items so far out of thieves. I missed what the second one was watching Odin.
Odin might be, now that he has the hook shot, he might be doing Pyramid and then hook shotting across to do the North Dark World graveyard check on his way to, I don't know, looks like he's going back to Pod. You were right in the first place.
And from Odinspack's situation, I don't mind this play. You can get over, you can full clear Pod, it's in the logic. I mean, this seems like an entirely reasonable thing to do. Taking kind of an interesting route over here to get to Pod, but he is going to have to go tag Kiki the monkey and pay 100 rupees to register him before he can use him as a service monkey to get into the palace. But has enough money, so he's going to be set.
He knows that he can clear. He can full clear Pod. He knows that he can get all those items, and it is a crystal. So maybe he's most likely looking for some new progression midst to open up something on Dark Mountain to get a little bit more value out of that hook shot, an excuse to go back up there, something else along those lines. And it's not a waste because it's a crystal dungeon he needs to clear.
Yeah, you have hammer, you have bow, you have mirror, you have hookshot even for a little bit of extra mobility if you can get over to it. But I don't think that there's a good window to do that in Pod. But it's going to be a pretty efficient Pod, all said and done. and looked away for a second. Missed what was in that Thieves Town big chest.
Triple bombs.
Triple bombs. Makes me want to make a Venga Boys reference, but not going to do that to anyone.
Oh, we're gonna get the pleasure of seeing a hammer blind fight from TGH. Any time you use a special weapon is always fun to watch.
Yeah, and Odinspack pausing a little, letting those anti-fairies pass. TGH having a nice blind so far. Hammer blind can be a little finicky, but as long as you get it on the first trip where blind at the top of the room, you can get sort of above blind, it's not nearly as bad as the second visit. So hopefully you can close that out. And yeah, really well executed from TGH.
Flawless execution.
And Blue Pendant is the haul, but he knows that that is worthless. So, well, not worthless. Could be a quarter heart. It does still have value. And there, Odinspack reminding us that TGH still has that mushroom. But I'm interested to see what else the Village of Outcasts digging game, things like that, turn up south of Grove. But things are drying up pretty quickly here.
I'm trying to think of where the next dungeon would be. They're logic locked from Ice and Mire, and they can't finish Skullwoods. Can't get into Swamp. Can't get into Turtle Rock. We're gonna have to find something soon.
Yeah, there's gonna be something. There's a good number of overworld locations left.
I don't think either of them went to Genus Cave. They didn't go to Ice Rod Cave, and of course, with Book, they can access Desert, which they've both done. I'm sorry, neither of them have done, and that's the Green Pendant.
Yeah, Green Pendant Desert, probably not very high on anyone's list, but that might be where the game wants them to go. It did give them the glove, the book, the lamp, and the mirror. Granted, not going to be able to flute over just yet, so they don't have the full suite of access items, but there is a lot pushing toward Desert, as sparse as it is.
I do feel sorry for runners who end up having to full clear all 3 pendant dungeons, and there isn't anything on pedestal.
Well, there is still that quarter heart. There is still, some value, but powder for TGH, we'll see. I kind of want to see him go right back up and do Magic Bat. And looks like he might be...
You might get your wish there.
Headed that way, but I guess he's going to have to mirror to do it. And yep, there's that mirror. So yeah, it looks like we might be getting that Magic Bat check.
I'll take the liberty and point out that I think Magic Powder is probably the best item in the game.
It's a favorite of mine. I know TGH, with the caliber of runner he is, doesn't still get it in NMG, but I don't know anyone who's really sad to see Magic Powder unless it shows up in like a really inconvenient location for routing, for progression. But is it a sword? Is it?
5 rupees.
Just $5. Man.
Yeah, the only place that you absolutely do not want to see Magic Powder is as a pedestal item.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. When you're still looking for Hookshot, that one feels pretty bad. But there's any fetch quest in those situations just feels awful, and at least Powder's useful on its own.
So I was expecting TGH to go back down and go back in the Dark World with his portal. Where do you think he's going now?
I think he's going to dive Skull Woods and get that Hookshot. we'll see. So right now, each runner is doing stuff that we've seen the other runner do. Not all that uncommon for some of these kind of branching but throttling down seeds. And we're going to have to see when someone goes somewhere new that we haven't seen yet. The world will really open up if we get our Titan's Mitt at some point. That'll be big for getting the runners to where they need to be. But I feel like our progression's probably like Zora's Domain type stuff or Catfish at this point.
Yes, 45 minutes in without a sword is frustrating, but it's actually not blocking that much from a progression standpoint. Mitts is, I would say, the number one item they're looking for at this point.
Yeah, with Hammer and Hookshot, the Dark World is kind of fully available except for this back part of Skullwoods and Dark Death Mountain and stuff that's kind of behind the mitts.
Well, I'm anticipating we're probably going to see a little bit of sync in the desert area soon after both of these runners complete the Skullwoods and Pot areas respectively. That seems to be the next logical place to go.
Yeah. I think we'll see probably one desert play and one Zora play. And I'm not sure, like, I want to see someone go turn that mushroom in, head up to Zora's Domain, pay for a scam, and just see what comes out there.
I did notice TGH got flippers. Where were they?
Whoa, flippers. That was yeah, that changes things.
Well, you mentioned the Zora play, and I was thinking that was just one item instead of the whole Zora area, but oh, they were okay. Chat says they were in the chest game.
Yeah, that good on our tracker Kippy for picking up on those flippers, because we clearly both missed them. But yeah, that sends me right over to Zora just to get that out of the way.
That's a shame for Odin's having not gone down into the Thieves' Town area. I'm not sure whether he's going to go back there prior to checking the desert area.
Yeah, we'll see. Thieves' Town and Village Outcasts, a pretty high value set of locations in terms of item density, and so I wouldn't be surprised to see Odin make his way back over there. Thieves' Town, we know, pretty blank, just a lot of bomb such. So it was kind of an unfortunate trip for TGH, but it is crossed off the list now.
As you said earlier, Odin may feel that he needs to take on some gambles in order to catch up with TGH, and that may lead him, coming out of pod, that may lead him to turn in the mushroom and do a catfish check, two out-of-the-way locations that TGH is less likely to route in.
Yeah, TGH doing that Bombos check without sword, and now headed over, dipping into Swamp with hookshot and flippers. We could be on our way to seeing the menu boss Argus. This is a completable
South Shore check as well, because he just picked up the cane.
Wow, yeah, I missed that he hadn't been down to South Shore yet. It's pretty awesome that we can see these seeds 50 minutes in where runners haven't had to go South Shore yet. But yeah, we're going to see some more nice routing here. South Shore doubled up with full clearing Swamp. I think we'll probably see left side because there's so much that the runners still need.
Well, having gotten the flippers, that definitely makes swamp the priority over desert. There's a lot of value, or potential value anyway, I should say, in swamp, and that being a crystal makes that a no-brainer. Always be clearing dungeons.
Yep, it's all about item density and progressing the seed, and swamp as a crystal and with 6 items. Even though left side swamp can kind of be a pain in the butt and be slow, definitely worth going here rather than sort of more overworld or non-crystal dungeons that can be cleared.
Odinspack going into the chess game now, so he's going to pick up his flippers.
And there, look, it's flippers. There it is. We saw him this time. So yeah, he may also be inclined to head down to swamp here with the same, or roughly the same loadout that TGH has at this point.
Oh, boots and swamp, and then the big chest.
Yeah, that's a nice find. That it's not a sword yet, but that's going to open other locations. Now, the inconvenient part is that without a sword, the runners do need to be careful dashing, so we'll see if TGH gets in rhythm and accidentally runs straight into something. But so far he's been very judicious, stopping his... Oh, there it was. Calm curse, unfortunately.
Now that Odin has the hookshot and the flippers, he may choose not even to go into Thieves' Town.
Yeah, but here he's tugging on it, so... Looks like Thieves' Town is the call, but it would have been reasonable to nope out of Thieves' Town. He might just do a front 4 check.
What do you call a frustration slash when you don't have a sword? Frustration poke or something like that. Again, TGH seems to be doing quite a few of them.
Yeah, I've been seeing them from TGH, and honestly, that Squirtle's super cute when it's doing them. So that's been more distracting to me, but it's definitely more frustrated without the sword. Looks like TGH is gonna kind of fully do left side swamp here. I like this call. I'm hoping for a sword. It's got to be somewhere soon. I don't know if I've seen a seed recently where we've crossed the 1 hour mark without a sword.
For somebody who plays as much NMG as TGH does, having boots without a sword is even more problematic. You get all that muscle memory, and you're just used to doing your boots routing. Not being able to dash with the sword is, I can imagine it being quite frustrating.
And the other thing I've noticed myself doing from an NMG perspective is when I have a similar loadout in Randomizer to what I'd have in NMG, I find myself slipping into NMG dungeon behavior and pathing, and thankfully TGH has that Squirtle, something not available in NMG, so that might kind of keep him grounded. But unfortunately, left side coming up blank. He hasn't made any mistakes yet, but it always can be a little tricky, kind of, if you have a bunch of items that you're used to having from NMG, to not just skip chests.
What I like to see is when you do see the top tier players with that particular NMG background, once they hit the point, once they hit go mode, their play style completely changes. They can just shut off their brain having to worry about the routing, and it all becomes muscle memory. It's like seeing an entirely different player.
Oh yeah, I can say, having since the last Randomizer tournament done NMG in between and coming back to Randomizer, it feels great. Go mode feels so great, and there it is. 54-34. We're in sword mode now on TGH's side. So we did not cross the chat's declaration of a record from yesterday of 55 minutes without sword, but we were pretty darn close. And we'll see if this modifies, and it is going to modify what TGH does here for this Argus fight. Instead of fighting the menu boss and menuing to hammer between hook shots, he's going to, oh wow, that double hook and spin fighter sword. That's
spin
really
fighter
nice.
Sword is faster than the menu hammer. So if you can hit those, even doing one puff at a time, being able to pick up 2 puffs at a time, definitely it's a win.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I hadn't seen a good menu boss in a while. It looks like he is setting up for fire rod strats here. It's going to be 2 fire rod shots in a spin and another 2 fire rod shots, and that'll kill Argus, and it nails it. So gets a really nice 2 cycle there. And for his reward,
so all the value is in Swamp, the sword and the mitts.
Yeah. So that is where progression is. We're going to need to see Odinspack get there sooner than later. But that was a hell of an Argus fight.
Of course, Boots as well. Boots, sword, and mitts. Everything was there.
Yeah, 3 out of 6. Ain't bad. It's a pretty good yield for the swamp play.
So TGH he's mini Waldorm, which of course he didn't do initially, and now that he has the mitts, he might go directly into Ice Palace.
Yeah, Ice is the next crystal, and not in go mode yet, so that is a dungeon that runners tend to want to put off because it is so much nicer in go mode. But at this point, we are pretty far away, and there's no other compelling options, so I'd like to see the full clear Ice play here from TGH. He's in this part of the map. I think
it seems likely. He's already here, and without the flute, it's a little bit of a trip to get back to.
Yeah, especially without the flute. Now with Boots though, that's a nice one. Looks like, did he not check Lake Hylia Island?
No,
or maybe
I don't think
we're gonna see.
He didn't jump down there, and he didn't have the flippers earlier on. He didn't fake flipper, so this will be our first check.
And just a quarter heart, and looks like now right to Ice Palace. So Zora's Domain is probably the next up after this, depending on what Ice Palace has.
Coming out of Ice Palace, it'll be a very quick check to go to Zora's.
Yeah, TGH's routing, by getting up to Death Mountain early, has really just let him double up everything between Light and Dark World with that mirror. And it's been kind of a slow progression, but it's been really, really nice to watch. And the South of Grove, just some bombs there for Odinspack that we knew were there.
He will be picking up his powder in a minute.
Yep. Looks like he is making his way over in the general direction of Swamp, so we know that that's where he wants to be. Hopefully he also has that inclination. Unfortunately, no small key in the first chest for TGH, so Ice Palace routing suddenly becomes a little more complicated. Not too bad. Got plenty of bombs for bomb jumps. Got the hook shot. Got the boots. It's not that bad. Got the hammer.
TGH, he got the powder. He chose to turn that in immediately, and Odin is making what we know to be the correct play, heading right into the swamp. So he's going to be very happy with that decision. TGH gets the bomb jump on the first try, no problem.
Yeah, and I like seeing him not default menu to hammer there. For NMG, he would have wanted to menu over to hammer to set up Lonely Fire Bar, but he is still in full rando mode, so that's good. Looks like he's going to go through Lonely Fire Bar, go down, check the double Freezor chest, and decide what to do based on that. If it's a small key, we may see him go back up through Lonely Fire Bar. And if it's not a small key, we may see him bomb jump here. Yeah, it looks like he's going right for that bomb jump with the piece of heart. And I think he's... Oh, an interesting setup for this bomb jump. Normally I don't see it from the top. I was looking for the left one. I was like, this isn't quite the right spot. I wonder what he's doing.
That
and it
one
was from...
has a lot of options. It's a very forgiving bomb jump.
Yeah, it was from the top.
Thankfully, he had the hook shot, so he did not have to do the jelly room bomb jump, which is a little bit less forgiving.
Yeah, that's one of those ones that I think we have Randomizer to credit for its I'll say its discovery, but the discovery of its utility. Definitely something that kind of came into favor from Randomizer. I think from I guess it would have been the spring 2017 tournament was where that kind of came into favor.
I can throw that in the pile of tricks with many other ones that I never would have even known about if it wasn't for Randomizer, like the Ganon Tower Randomizer room.
Yeah, so called because you only see it here, but so far Ice Palace not delivering the goods. That burrito, not what TGH is looking for. Although delicious.
He's not getting the progression, but he is routing it very efficiently, and it's a dungeon that you don't want to have to double dip, so just the peace of mind of knowing that it's being taken care of should be worth something. Odin picked up his boots. So he still doesn't have the sword, so he still can't dash, but that's definitely an item that I'm sure he's happy to see.
Yeah, unfortunately this barrier just a little too thick. Okay, looks like he's gonna use Cane. Oh, that's clever.
That's a good strat. TGH bombs, I've never seen the cane.
Yeah, it didn't work out, but he was able to move that spike. And I didn't even think about Blue Cane as a viable way through there. I was looking at bombs and arrows and everything but.
I don't know if you can do that with an arrow, because I don't think you can shoot through those blocks. Can you?
I think you can shoot over the switch blocks.
I see boomerang a lot. Boomerang
Yeah.
and bombs.
Now that you question it, I am not 100% certain. I probably would have tried to do it though.
Chat says you can.
Okay, yeah.
And I'm not sure, so I'm going to defer to chat.
Yeah, chat.
Looking...
Yeah, chat usually keeps on top of things. So thank you to chat for keeping us in check. Appreciate you guys and gals.
On the left, keep your attention on the left-hand side here. We're gonna have a fighter sword or hammer cold stare fight, which is always very fun to watch.
Yeah, half magic fire rod.
Half magic fire rod.
Yeah. The more efficient way of doing this one.
Or just ignore what I said.
Yeah. But now we're busting out the hammer strats. This is not something that NMG will prepare you for. But TGH, yeah, getting through it, getting nothing bub kiss out of the Ice Palace, but another crystal. So that's one more down.
Finishing that dungeon with 4.5 hearts there, that's right at the threshold of where that red mail would have made a difference.
Sweater Vest has got him protected though, so I think he's in safe hands. Looks like
the efficient play right up to Zora now. There's 4 items up here.
Yeah, this is nice. It is going to leave Catfish behind though, so that's something to be mindful of. there's our first medallion in Waterfall Fairy Cave. And let's see how TGH is able to handle Zora's Domain. This is pretty much an NMG screen for him. And looks like it was just some rupees there on the ledge, if I saw it right. It was just barely on the edge, but yeah, very nice, efficient dash. Staying on the grass and remembering flippers, so that changes that screen a little bit there. But yeah, pretty good Zora's Domain from TGH.
Well, now that he has the mitts, my prediction is a Dark Death Mountain check.
Sorry, what was your prediction?
Either a Dark Death Mountain check, which looks like where he's going, or to finish off Skullwoods.
Yeah, I figured that Dark Death Mountain, just from the items per time standpoint, was the way to go. And TGH setting up the sword spin there, and then menuing to hookshot. Not going for the Waffle House drive-through. I'm kind of glad to see it, because it so seldom goes well. But using this bottom portal to set up his Dark World Death Mountain checks, and he is going to be able to full clear this area, so, and also get insight into what the medallion is going to be for Turtle Rock. So we'll have to watch for that. That's something we. And it looks like we have menu strats here coming from Odinspack, so we do get to see the menu boss today. Looks like he's using 3 inputs. He could be using left up and then down right to menu between these and saving an input by using the menu wrapping. So it's a little less efficient than it could be, but getting it, at least just doing it cleanly, even if it's 3 inputs, is the most important part.
I just want to point out that TGH found the Master Sword in Super Bunny Cave.
Yeah. That is going to ensure that Ganon can be killed, whether he finds more gear or not by then. Let's see what the Hookshot Cave's got. So far, nothing. And a blue boomerang. A very, very important blue boomerang. Yeah, nothing. And Odin, on to the last part. We'll see what he does for Argus Phase 2. Looks like hammer strats are the order of the day. I think it's going to take 4 hammer hits? Yeah, I think it's 4, because that would be Tempered Sword Slashes, because it takes 2 Tempered Sword spins. Yep, there we are.
Very good, difficult execution with the hammer hitbox and him moving that quickly. So that's a good fight for Odin.
Yeah, we got that ether check. TGH again doubling up Light World, Dark World locations. Looks like we are finally getting that Spike Cave that's been on the menu for a little while. I think we're going to get something good in Spike Cave. What do you think?
I never think we're going to get something good in Spike Cave unless it's the last item to check. Not a big fan of Spike Cave. Yeah, that was very very close there.
He must have had but frames left, and there it is.
Michael, you win the points on that one.
I had a feeling about it, and it paid out with the flute. So let's get ready to enjoy the Hyrule Anthem that we all love so much, our Swag Duck Anthem. Don't know if the Swag Duck emotes are in this channel, but throw them out in the chat anyway. Let's get some Swag Duck hype going on, because we have some newfound mobility and the ability to go do the Mire area.
Yes, there's nothing left to guess on where TGH is going next. I don't know if you saw it. I didn't see it in the millisecond that it was on the screen, but it looks like Turtle Rock was Ether to access, which fortunately he has. He just doesn't have the Cane of Samaria in order to go in.
Oh, I'm getting notification that wrong game audio, alas. Well, y'all know the words, so Uh, I expect that each of you was humming along contently at home, and I'm sure that we will be getting that eventually from Odinspack's audio. But looks like TGH is going right back while he's over this way to finish up Skull Woods, and not a sort of a maximizing of items per time, but does give him progress. He's got 4 crystals down already. This will be his 5th. And so, depending on what Meyer is, we're basically a Meyer medallion and a red cane, unless TGH really, really feels like hovering Turtle Rock. But I don't know anyone who really feels like hovering Turtle Rock. But we're getting pretty close to that beloved Go mode.
He was already at flute warp point number 4 when he activated the flute, so there really was no better time to route and finishing up Skull Woods. And it's that red crystal. So once he completes Meyer, he may be glad that he has it and doesn't have to backtrack.
Yeah, I think this is, again, a very efficient time to do this. And I see mention in chat that some folks are thinking TGH may feel behind. I think this is the right play regardless of whether you feel like you're ahead or behind. And I doubt that he feels behind at this point. He's had very, very clean routing and has found some items in some pretty rough locations. And nothing that he has chosen to leave behind has really been kind of in sort of the major item path and been strong progressions, so...
Well, he put off getting the Cane of Burner for a while, which was accessible fairly early on, and he could have gone to Spike Cave and gotten the flute during his initial Dark Mountain run, so he could feel a little bit behind for not having that the entire time. But we know that neither of them took that path.
Yeah, I think because he's had valuable and meaningful other stuff to do the entire time, that's going to weigh less heavily on his mind, because it's not like he spent his time kind of going on these wild goose chases that didn't turn out anything for a half hour. He's been steadily making progress.
He did go into Hera and Devestown and not get much value there, so if Odin had skipped those, he may feel that was a time sink. I'm a little surprised to see him doing the frog, the blacksmith chain series, rather than initially checking in the Meyer area immediately.
Yeah, I guess getting over to Dark World over here, he could just be deciding to knock this out all at once. I would have liked to see the Meyer check, just because then we would know what Go mode looks like. And so if he finds the cane here, for instance, he'll know whether Lunchbox could be valuable to do. But I can kind of see it both ways here.
If you didn't see TGH's Mothfield fight, which was maybe like a 6-second fight, Odin is making his way there, and he's not that far behind.
Yeah, thankfully Odin has a sword now, is going to be able to slash open that vine curtain. And looks like he's going for lamp strats here. I guess not wanting to do too much of the Master Sword Moth fight. Or is he's still on Fighter Sword? Yeah, he's on Fighter Sword
still
Moth.
On Fighter Sword. He probably wants to save every fire shot rod he can. I think he probably has 14 at this point. 13 now? 12?
Yeah, with half magic, that can be really nice. Those fire rod shots are going to be at a premium for a Fighter Sword Moth. And luring that Wall Master.
Hammer, it's only 4 hits with the hammer. So between the fire rod, the hammer, and of course red mail, he should have no trouble. Making good use of keeping his sword pointed out to keep him facing Mothfield.
Yeah, the spike's getting a little rough. Pretty much everything, the floor movement, moth movement, spike movement, is RNG in this fight, so
He was
it's a
able to
lot to
pull it
read.
off very cleanly. He didn't even have to fall back onto the hammer. So nice fight from the Odinspack.
Absolutely. I see some conjecture in chat about where we're going to actually find this cane. Where do you think the cane rests? We're getting to a dwindling number of locations.
Well, we have the boot spots that TGH is checking at the moment. I don't believe either. Well, I don't believe Odinspack did Graveyard Ledge, just a red ruby. My money is in the Mire area. I think it'll probably be in Checkerboard Cave or Mire Shed. Just where when you need it, it'll be there.
Yeah, my first race in this tournament was full vanilla cane, big chest in Mire, and so that's where my money's going to be. But yeah, I think the Mire area is a pretty strong bet. We're getting an Ice Rod Cave check here from Odinspack.
This works out very well for them because they can't go into Turtle Rock without the cane, so that guarantees them that Turtle Rock is going to be their last crystal. They're not going to have to double dip. I mean, they will be doing Turtle Rock Go mode.
I thought we were going to see Catfish there from TGH, but it looks like he's headed over toward the pyramid. I don't think we've seen Catfish yet, though, have we?
We haven't seen Catfish from either player. Odinspack did do the pyramid, but neither of them decided to do the quite lengthy route in for Catfish.
Yeah, that was our first trip over to Ice Rod Cave. Unfortunately for Odinspack, it wasn't anything. Or it was 10 arrows. So, just 10 arrows, though. But looks like now we're getting that mushroom turned in.
And this is an item that they've had for a very long time.
Yeah, this was pretty early on in the logic. Was this in... It was in pod, right? Was where the mushroom came from right side pod.
I think you have to be happy to see just a piece of heart when you turn an item in that you've had for that long. You definitely do not want to see the Go mode item.
Yeah, I'm surprised about the lateness of getting over to Mire from TGH. I kind of want to ask him about that if we get a chance to talk to him later. Because being one or two items off of Go mode makes a massive difference. It's possible that if he found the red cane here, he would just immediately go check out Mire. But now with Mire being kind of one of the last areas, he'll be more comfortable going in and diving into actual Mire looking for red cane. So,
well,
I think
the nice thing about Mire is it's very easy to get back to. So it's not the area isn't bad, the double dip. But between the two items here, the Checkerboard Cave item, the Desert Ledge item, a Genus Cave which neither of them have checked, and then the two items that they can very quickly check in Desert, there's a lot of density here without even having to go into Mire. So I'm surprised that he didn't route this in before doing one-offs like Catfish.
Yeah, and a level 3 sword. He will take that. Get that tempered sword there. But yeah, it looked like Mire was the Ether Medallion, and I think chat looks like they agree on that. It was very, very quick from TGH, just a very quick sort of glance over, but we are a cane of Samaria away from Go mode, especially now that TGH found that tempered sword. I think we'll see this desert dive.
Tempered sword is very nice to pick up. There's no doubt that he could do Silverless Master Sword Ganon, but Tempered being that easily accessible is a very nice find.
And Desert was not boots required, so Desert has also been an option for quite a while. Let's see what the big chest is here. I think we're going to see TGH do Desert until he finds both of the items. And unfortunately, Desert being as quick of a dungeon as it is, being a little bit of a troll with its item locations.
As long as the item isn't on the boss, it's fairly quick to check at least this initial section. Odinspack, he's finishing up with ice, and I think his only real option after this is to head up to do Dark Death Mountain, which we get on the Master Sword. Hopefully the Flu as well in Spike Cave.
Yeah, we got a 50-50, and that was it. Desert was blank, so honestly, if you're TGH, you probably feel pretty good about that. Even though it's not the cane you wanted. It gives you extra confidence going on in and making this Mire dive. So yeah, he's going to use Ether. Because of the routing, no pterodactyls, no bird tosses today. But I think we're going to see either a vanilla or what I've seen some folks decide to call French vanilla for being in the vanilla dungeon but not the vanilla location, Canis Samaria today.
Well, I think the only overworld places that they can access that we haven't seen we haven't seen the Green Pendant, of course. I don't think either of them went to Aegina's cave. Odin did do an Ice Rod cave check, so we know it's not there. Can you think of any other spots?
Racking my brain right here about it. We've seen both tablets. I think we've seen kind of all the out of the way stuff. I think it is just those two that you cited. So, Cane and Mire is a pretty high yield proposition right now.
Well, it's definitely worth the gamble. It's a dungeon that you need to get the big key regardless. So, anytime you spend hunting for the items is time you're also going to need to spend hunting for the key. Now, he did pick up the key fairly early, so at this point he's going to have to keep going with the item hunt, but it's not a lot of wasted time.
Yeah, unfortunately, the cutscene he's coming up to takes roughly 45 minutes. But other than that big time loss, Mire, not too bad to go through and check the items out once you're into the actual meat of the dungeon. Looks like he is going to try and avoid that 3-hour cutscene. Going to go and check some other locations first for items. See if he heads over toward the big key chest or if he's heading back for the vanilla big key location it is.
Going all the way over to the big key chest, that's a big backtrack if you need to do this spot.
Yeah, I can only assume that he needs a break to refresh his drink. Also, this is the most efficient way to route the dungeon out. If that chest in the main room doesn't pan out, but
keep an eye on Odinspack. He's doing his cold stare fight now. Unfortunately, he didn't get as many of the fire rod shots, so I think he's gonna have to do the hammer strats.
Ooh, hammer cold stare, that hitbox and those puff movements. He's doing a good job, but ooh, gotta be careful. He's got a fairy, I'm pretty sure. I think I saw one on his menu. And I missed what was in.
He's doing a good job on it.
Yeah, I missed what was in the vanilla big key chest there in Mire. I saw TGH was headed down for it. It was not the Canis Samaria.
very well done fight on Odinspack, down to a half a heart on Hammer Cold Stare, but excellent execution pulling that off. That is a very difficult fight.
Yeah, clutch that one out a bit, and oh, Cape. Have we seen what's on the bumper cave? Oh, okay, there it is.
Ooh, but it doesn't matter.
Okay.
That puts TGH in go mode now.
Yeah, just when you thought the game might be throwing you for a loop, but there it is. It was just a typo the first time. They meant to give you Kane.
I like that, a typo.
Yeah, so that is go mode for TGH at right around an hour and 25 minutes. We're going to see, as you mentioned, Diru, we're going to see him kind of switch gears here. And he is going to be on his way to Vitreous, then straight through T-Rock, which unfortunately is not going to save too much time by virtue of it being go mode. Probably can, steal the Pokey Key and things like that, but going for a bit of a block blast.
Skip the Mimic Cave, skip the big key, the big chest rather. There's just some savings there, but you're all right. It's not the best dungeon to go mode. Although making it your last dungeon and not having to go make the Death Mountain climb twice is definitely a savings.
I'll point out that skipping the big key chest in T-Rock is definitely still a gamble. Almost always. I think there are some, there are a few rare cases where if you've gotten completely loaded on small keys, you're fine. But for the most part, you're going to only be 80% basically, because you will need that last small key that usually is on Laser Bridge.
You're absolutely right. Saving the key from the Pokey at the vanilla big key chest, doesn't always save you a key, because sometimes that chest has a key.
Exactly. If that's a key, then you can really get screwed when you get to Laser Bridge. But you can play the odds. I gambled on it. I've gambled on it before, and I'm sure I'll do it again.
At a minimum, you can skip Mimic Cave, and you can absolutely avoid that second or third or fourth or fifth or whatever climb all the way back up Death Mountain by making Turtle Rock your last crystal. So that in itself is a time saving that every runner appreciates.
Yeah, getting a little dead rocked there. Those things, nobody likes them. That's why they're so surly. But he will be making his way over to Turtle Rock, and should be on pace for a pretty good time given sort of the way the logic progressed with this seed. And Odinspack.
Odin's is doing the light world checks. Unfortunately, we know that he needs to make that Death Mountain trip to pick up his flute, and optionally his second sword.
Yeah, we're just gonna have to hope that he finds his way up to Spike Cave here sooner than later. And that's one of those locations that can really kind of hang around as a loose end on the map. And so hopefully he gets there sooner than later.
I've heard them called terminal locations, because you have to save in quit essentially once you get there. Zora, Spike Cave. It's something that it's very, very tempting to put off to absolute last.
Yeah, I found myself in a terminal location with Spike Cave last night actually, and then got my Go Mode medallion for Turtle Rock, and I was almost already saved and quit, and I was like, well, I'm gonna farm up these hearts and spin speed my way back out of here, because that's Go Mode. But it's so rare that happens.
I think this is our first Aegina Cave check on Odinspack side.
Yeah, this is the final initial item sphere check. I think everything else has been checked, and we know it's not gonna be very exciting.
It's a very out of the way location. One of the runners that I'm a big fan of says that this location is essentially dead to him from the moment that he loads the game. It's just not something that you want to go to.
Yeah, I've been punished before, but it's a terrible location. But that's the fun of Rando, is sometimes these items end up in these horrible locations, and TGH getting a little chain chomped, but getting his big key.
Only one hit in the chain chomp room is definitely satisfactory.
Yeah, the Bow Wows were hungry though and ate one of the Cane of Samaria blocks, and that's a recipe for things going south in that room. So it was good that he was able to get out with just that one hit.
I think if you're picking an animal avatar, you're going to expect to be eaten.
That the Bow Wow Squirtle crossover game, I don't know what it is, but I'd play it. And yeah, sure enough, he's stealing the key and outracing that bunny beam. Have we seen the Squirtle bunny sprite yet?
I don't know. I don't know if we have. But it is fun to see running from a bunny beam through 4 anti-fairies. It's the magical enemy Hellway.
And yeah, it looks like TGH is not going to gamble, is going to do the big chest check. Oh, now I feel bad for missing it. We're being told by M. Kostler in the chat that it's Squirtle Squad. He puts on the shades, and I want to see it now. So I'm gonna have to probably do a seed later as Squirtle and just get bunnied, because that sounds fantastic. It does sound like it's the best.
You could probably just take a look at this VOD.
Having a little bit of roller key issues, but getting silvers.
It basically removes the last challenge from the Ganon fight at that point.
Yeah, a good NMG runner like TGH probably would rather those silvers be more out of the way, honestly, because he has to assume that his opponent will also find. And oof, Odinspack getting some rough RNG there on that screen, but finally making his way up to Dark Death Mountain. We are gonna throw all of our prayers into getting him over to Spike Cave here.
TGH found his small key, and he's not even checking those last 2 spots on Laser Bridge. He is done.
This is as go mode as you get. A nice little cane dash there, actually stopping on the pegs, getting those iframes. Odinspack gonna stop in the Dark Death Mountain shop and get a red potion. It's a nice little quick stop to be sure you have enough health, especially if he's thinking, I might do Turtle Rock right now, because Turtle Rock's one of those dungeons that can just deal a lot of damage, regardless of what mail you have.
It's always good to see runners remember those unlikely spots to pick up potions or fairies.
Yeah, I've seen a bunch of people throw bottles into fairy fountains and things, and all these cool ways to get these safeties rather than just go to Witch's Hut. And it impresses me the level of game knowledge of all of the runners in this tournament. 512 entrants, and every one of them has been impressive to me.
And there were quite a few on the waiting list as well.
Yeah, the overall excitement level for A Link to the Past Randomizer and the sort of level of participation of people has been very, very impressive. And in fact, that was something Odinspack mentioned in his player bio, was he was just so happy to see one of his favorite games in A Link to the Past getting this much attention and this sort of treatment, going on 30 years after its release. But here we go. TGH is headed into Ganon's Tower. If you like to be that sort of person who likes to guess what chest the big key will be found in, we don't have a leaderboard game, but we do have local chat fame for you. So you can throw those guesses out in chat. 1 through 22, there are 22 item locations. I'm going to guess 15. What's your guess today, Tiro?
My guess is always number 6, regardless of the race.
Yeah, I'm always 15. 15 is the vanilla big key past Ice Armos if you do the 2 right side chests.
Oh, Odinspack, he got dead rocked on his way to check the ether tablet. Right in the middle of the bridge. Looks like he's going back to check that last tower of item location. So he's being very thorough trying to find that red cane.
Yeah, getting set up nicely on the pegs this time. Not getting in baby jail. So this is good. But unfortunately, we know this is just going to be a time loss.
This will be a time loss, but he is where he needs to be, which is dropping down the check spike cave. So at this point, I can't see him not making that check, and that's going to give him the direction he needs to go.
Yeah, and that was a really clean screen there from TGH into the double firebar room. I had not seen exactly that strat for that screen, at least that I had fully appreciated. I may need to steal that one. It's pretty nice. And just a big 20 there in the basement that we already knew about for Odinspack, but hopefully we are headed for Spike Cave. We know that that's where his flute
make another try at ether, and then just...
Yeah, but I think within the next couple minutes we'll be back on track. Come on, jumped. Okay. I think we're doing it.
Unfortunately, with the cane being that deep into mire, he still may do the remaining overworld checks, which is not a bad choice, with the knowledge that he has, because that was the last item that he possibly could have gotten in mire when TGH went there.
Yep, there it is. There's that flute. We'll see what Odinspack chooses to do with it. Hopefully it's activate and go right to mire. And here's Bob's chest. Bob feeling better today. His chest pretty worthless. So the 15 dream is alive. 15 through 17 coming up. As Odinspack is going to give us that Swag Duck anthem. So finally we get to hear it. 15 blank, 16 blank, 17 blank. It's a right side or tile room big key today. I just loathe when the game gives you a right side big key but no small key on the right side. It just feels so silly.
I'm really enjoying TGH's Samaria swag.
Oh yeah, that block kick there, it's just pure swag and looks great every time. Ooh. And looks like he's gonna have to wait out the torch here. A little bit of trouble with the skull pots.
Wasn't there supposed to be a potion under that one, or was that the
bottom?
The second one.
Yeah, the bottom one is the full magic refill.
I've seen items like that go missing.
There are certain ones that I know that can. I don't know if I've ever seen that one go missing, but there it is. That was location 19. So let's see if anyone guessed 19 in the chat. I'm gonna have to scroll up and take a look.
Yeah, we did. Hotaru 2199 got the first 19.
There it is. You are internet famous on A Link to the Past Randomizer 2. So congratulations, Hotaru 2199. You're our winner today.
It was nice to see Odinspack make that check in the checkerboard cave. He did pick up his tempered sword, which is something that he potentially could have skipped if he had gone straight in the mire. So it's always nice to have that. It looks like he's deciding to. I was going to say, my mistake. Never mind.
Yeah, it looks like he's not staying in the mire area, so we are going to see, looks like some overworld checking here. We'll see which locations get that special treatment. I think we're seeing a mirror ledge here that we already know. I think it was arrows. I think it was 10 arrows in here, but I'm not sure.
And these are the same checks that TGH made, which, you know, when you only have a few spots, and, you know, as we know, the Keenest Mario was, you know, the last item in Mire. So, you know, these are things that it makes sense to get done.
Yeah, and a really nice landmo too there from TGH. 3 silver arrows dispatching all 3 of the Botwoons one at a time. So felt good. And he is on his way. He's through the gauntlet into Upper Ganon's Tower and making a really nice pace. And we know Odinspack needs to get over to Mire. It's not gonna, in all likelihood, make a difference in this race unless something truly bizarre happens. But that is what he's going to need to do in order to finish up this seed. So hopefully he finds his way over there sooner than later.
I think he's doing the mushroom catfish check, which is, like I said, once again, he's in a good position for it. He's already up here, and there's no other time that is good to route in this particular check.
Yeah, if you're at 142 and racing against TGH and don't yet see a dot done, you have to be thinking that whatever it is in kind of a horrible spot. And so I could see kind of from a meta standpoint making these calls.
Oh, we got TGH doing the hover Moldorm 2.
Yep, that is a completely valid strategy for Moldorm 2. Getting around that sort of hookshot need and just skipping right over the gap. Really nicely done.
Absolutely never required by the logic to do. Totally swag, but always fun to see.
And getting a double first round, a really nice pattern here for round 2. Unfortunately, getting knocked off his spot. That was sort of a bad blue ball there, and another one. So I think we have a 2-1-0 so far for Geometry Wizard. 2-1-0-2 by my count.
Nice double on that one.
Yeah, we should get. Yep, that'll finish it up.
Your count was correct.
Yep, a 5 round as Odinspack gets 5 arrows in capacity upgrade from the catfish, and he turns his nose up at that and says, I'm going hopefully straight back to the Mire area. I think that's got to be it. Yep, here we go. So he is on his way. We know he's going to find his cane here very soon.
I didn't notice. Did you see if Odin went into desert or not? I don't know if he did.
I do not believe he went into desert. I didn't see him go in. I think that that would have taken long enough that I would have noticed. I mean, I was kind of enthralled waiting for where and when this big key would show up. Oh, Kippy says Odin did go into desert. So yeah, I missed it while I was watching for that big key.
Well, then this probably is his last option of places to check.
Yeah, and Kane in Mire is something we've seen be the undoing of so many runners over these tournaments, and this will not be the last instance of Kane of Samaria in Misery Mire trolling the heck out of a runner.
And this is by no means poor routing or a mistake. This is the exact same routing that TGH did. It's playing the odds, and this is a very unlikely place to look.
Yeah, there are a few runners I know who are strong fans of diving Mire, but most players, especially for Kane, just try and stay away. Because it's not exceptionally fast. TGH having a nice Ganon so far on to phase 4. Missed Torch glitch, but I imagine that was kind of by design. He has half magic. He's just trying to get these silver shots in as fast as possible. Shooting the torch there. Not exactly the input he wanted there, but getting that 4th arrow. That is going to dispatch Ganon. He's going to be finishing up here, crossing the threshold, assuming he can hold up and not walk into a pit. We'll be finishing up very soon.
Oh, you're setting the bar a little high there, Maniacal. But
He did it.
He pulled it off.
Well done. First try bridge walk to get that finishing time of 1 hour and 45 minutes, 41 seconds. GG to TGH. He'll be moving on to 2-0 in the tournament. Welp, that just happened. Let's see if TGH wants to grace us with an interview. Keep an eye out for him here in the waiting area and see if we can bring him in. But that was a nice run.
And in the meantime, Odinspack is continuing through Mire, and he's going to find that last item, and he'll be in go mode in just about a minute.
Yeah, we know that Red Cane is coming up. That is going to be go mode for Odinspack at long last. And honestly, given this seed, Odinspack putting up a very nice run. Very impressed by his play. It's just, I won't say unfortunate, but just it is what it is, running into a bit of a buzzsaw like TGH in round 2 of Swiss of a 500-player tournament. Someone had to get this pairing, and by no means unbeatable, but TGH definitely one of the kind of early favorites in this tournament, and showing us why today. And looks like we have been joined by TGH, so congratulations on the win, TGH. How are you feeling?
Thanks. Hey guys, what's going on?
Not too much. We're watching Odinspack, just getting through the Mire Torch Room. He's about to, at long last, get his Cane of Samaria. Something I'm sure you are familiar with.
I had a feeling that Kane was hanging out somewhere in the Mire area, but I had the mentality of just sort of playing safe. Like, I didn't really take anything too aggressively. It is what it is, basically. I could have probably, I was thinking about making the Mire play, after doing Skullwoods, but thought I'd clear out the rest of the overworld, with the exception of a couple spots before I went there.
Yeah, I was a little surprised, and I had made a note to ask you about it, just not getting over there and kind of finding out what the Mire medallion point missing exactly Kane plus Mire medallion. Was it just overall routing efficiency, wanting to do kind of the Smith sequence, get over, do Catfish?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I had that plan of doing Skull and making my way over the North Dark World section and over to Catfish. Just wanted to make sure I was leaving nothing behind before finally making that move to the Mire section. I basically played the seed. I played the seed with the mentality of just don't double dip anything, if it's not necessary. So I made sure I tried to have the items I needed for an area before I went to that area. If I were to play a little bit more aggressively, I probably wouldn't have done that. But that was just my game plan for this run.
Yeah, that made a lot of sense, and actually really rewarded you. It got you up to Death Mountain earlier while Odinspack kind of went over and checked Eastern.
Yeah, I
And
figured.
Eastern, of course.
Yeah, I had that option. I figured that while I was, while Hera was bad, both items useless and basement also required for the second item, but I didn't want to leave it behind. While that hurt me, I felt like it made routing better because I figured I could do Pod and Eastern together if I got Pearl up on Death Mountain, and I did so.
Yeah, that Moon Pearl location really panned out well, and that coupled with the early mirror, just your routing was so nice for the first for the entire seed, but really just the efficiency of it was really nice to watch. Kind of as you doubled up the light world and dark world kind of overworld sweeps and dungeon locations, it played very well.
Yeah, it can be a weird balance sometimes, trying to balance out efficiency and routing along with checking the fastest locations first. Like for instance, I made sure to full clear Thieves Town, even though I didn't really want to. I felt like I should, because, well, first off, I've had a lot of seeds lately. It might be confirmation bias, but I've had a lot of seeds lately where there was value in Pendant Thieves Town. By the way, this is like my 6th straight Pendant Thieves Town seed.
Yeah, I was commenting on how much I hate Pendant Thieves seeds and how much V29 gives them to me.
You have to do Pendant Thieves.
Yeah, it's not fun. It's not fun to have Pendant Thieves in a seed. I check my map and I'm like, dang.
Yeah,
Pendant
it's
Thieves
the
again.
eighth crystal. It is what it is.
Yep.
Like,
but yeah,
you're gonna do it.
Although it didn't pan out, I made sure to just get it off my mind and do it. In order to just get it off my mind, like not have to worry about it anymore.
Yeah, I like that philosophy of if you're going to go into a pendant dungeon, go into the pendant dungeon, commit to full clearing it, just get it off the map and get it off your mind. Sorry, Tiru, did you have something?
I was just going to ask if I was curious what your thoughts were on not getting a sword for so long.
I didn't mind it that much. I was pleased to see a sword right before Argus, though. That's for sure. So I didn't have to do some epic menuing on Argus. Switching between hookshot and hammer for so often, but yeah. I mean, it's okay. It's all right not getting a sword until late, unless it's like a problem in GT, or at least that's how I think. That's how I feel about it.
You looked very frustrated once you got the boots and not being able to dash through enemies. I saw a lot of
yeah, especially in
frustration
Swamp.
pokes.
Swamp is probably the worst dungeon for that, to not have a sword, but have boots at the same time. Just constantly running in this. I ran into like 5 enemies in a single room. Like the room that I got the boots in, like the main room in Swamp, I just like ran into one of the enemies over and over.
Yeah, that room's miserable. Like, you can run into enemies pretty much no matter what because you're hopping off of platforms and they're just coming at you from the side. And,
yeah.
Like, without a sword, yeah, there's...
Yeah, it was almost an hour without a sword.
Yeah. It was, I think, 54 minutes.
Yeah, it said 54 minutes on my my thing at the end.
Oh, there it is. Yeah, it's just scrolling by for us now. Boots at 50, flute at 107, but that nice 5-minute mirror.
Yep.
That one was at least nice.
Spike, sorry, the flute and Spike Cave was a little bit out of the way.
Yeah, a little bit. I'm glad I checked it. Spike Cave is one of those locations where, like, I honestly, like, if I had a different mentality, I might not have checked it, but I'm glad I did. And I was able to pair it with the Ether tablet as well, since I hadn't checked that. Because I got book a little bit after I was there the first time. But I think I made only 3 total trips up Death Mountain, including the final one this seed. So that's okay for me. Or wait, I might have been mistaken. No, that's true. That's right. No, I made 3. I think 3 total trips up.
What's interesting is that the Cane of Brian was you started out with Hammer and Mirror very early, and the Cane of Verna, even though you didn't pick it up, was available fairly early on.
Yeah.
So Spike Cave and the flute was something that you could have had much sooner.
Yeah,
but
probably.
both of you
I
guys
think.
did the same
I
route.
think. Yeah, I think the first time I went up Death Mountain, I didn't have the. No, I didn't have anything to. Yeah, you're right. I probably could have. It wouldn't have worked out well routing wise because I was all the way over on the other side of Death Mountain, but. So it probably wouldn't have been a play that I would make anyway in that situation. But yeah, I honestly didn't even realize that I had left South Dark World like open until I until I was about to go in the swamp, and I said, "Oh, I haven't opened this chest yet. What? Question mark?" Um, so
Yeah, we saw you pull that, and I was like, oh yeah, he still hasn't done this. But
yeah,
we saw Odinspack get there earlier, and as soon as I saw where Cane of Burna was after you had been up on Death Mountain, I thought that's Spike Cave, and like I had a really weird feeling about Spike Cave, and sure enough, flute, but it didn't work out too badly because there wasn't a ton of stuff behind flute.
yeah. Just Kane, I think, in this particular instance. Obviously, like the completion of Meyer was we needed flute for Meyer, but yeah, it also unlocked an item in the cane.
It did work out well because when you made the initial Death Mountain run, Odinspack went to Eastern. Neither of you ended up going to South Shore for quite a long time.
Oh, that's interesting. I almost always do South Shore before like anything else, or before at least Eastern or Death Mountain. But I had all the items I needed to completely clear out Light World Death Mountain, so I figured I might as well go like early, and then I just kind of I pushed South Shore to the back of my mind, I guess.
Yeah, it was really interesting because at the same time, Odinspack went over and did the Eastern dive, and you both kind of put off that South Shore.
I felt like this was like aside for that, like even with that, to be honest, I'm pretty proud of the way I routed. It was pretty smooth all the way through. Of course, mirror helps a lot with routing, just in general. I was really happy to see early mirror.
Yeah, early mirror, you just had really nice movement because you were able to get that early Dark World access, and just once you did pod, you kind of got your way over to Village Outcasts and kind of worked from there, and it just let you go into each dungeon kind of in turn, working your way around the map, and the items just lined up perfectly for it. It was very nice.
Yep, it was very fortunate.
Yeah, so I guess that brings you to 2-0 so far in the tournament. So if we cut now, you would be top 128.
Nice.
But after this round, but a lot of sort of Swiss rounds to go. I guess, how do you feel about your strategy going forward? Do you think are you kind of just taking it week by week?
Yeah, basically. I don't know. I've been playing pretty well as of late, so I guess we'll see. I feel like I'm at the point right now where like I'm able to adapt the mentality a little bit more. Like normally I don't really change what I'm doing depending on who I'm playing, but obviously I might need to as the tournament progresses. And I guess we'll see from here. I mean, of course, with a better record comes better opponents, so just naturally, but we'll see how that goes.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to some of these matches that we're going to start seeing here next week in round 3, 4, and then 5. I think 5 it's really going to start heating up, especially at the top of the bracket. And honestly, in all the brackets, as everything starts to stratify and the matches become more and more fair. We're only in week 2,
sure.
and these matches are already super hyped. So this tournament has been a blast so far.
You get good races at all of the pairings. I mean, even 0-0s and 1-1s. They'll take longer, but they're once they're more evenly matched, they can still be very exciting races.
Yeah, week 1, the 0-0 week, of course, fully random. But now, I mean, we're 1-0s versus 0-1s, and there are some cool 0-1 matches. Kind of more of the same. Was there anything else that you really wanted to, comment on about the seed TGH? I think that we have touched on everything I wanted to mention. I'm not sure if Tiru had other questions.
No, you asked the questions that I was interested in. It was, your routing was very similar to Odinspack, and you had to cover quite a few spots. You did what you had to do it. It was good execution, nice swag, very fun to watch. Thank you very much.
No problem. I can't think of anything. I appreciate you guys. Thank you guys for commentating and for having us on the restream. I know there was, according to, I was talking to Felix the cat last night, and he was saying how there was some scheduling conflicts going on, and so we had to move our match. But thank you guys for getting us on the restream. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm glad. Thank you to Zelnas for being able to do that restream. I think Felix said
absolutely.
There were something like 63 matches today, if I remember it correctly, which is insane. I mean, it's basically a quarter of the matchups that are slated to happen this week, all right here on Wednesday, kind of happen in midweek because, Monday and Sunday kind of end up those bookending dead days. But this is the peak of it. And the fact that we're seeing so many matches restreamed is awesome. So shout outs to Zelnas and also all of the folks, all the restreamers who are working really hard to get these broadcast.
Yeah, thank you, Zelnas. Really appreciate it, man.
Just to bring it back to the stream briefly, Odin is now entering into Ganon's Tower.
Yep, has made it through Trinex. Before the hype of this Ganon's Tower execution kicks up, I wanted to also be sure that we shouted out Kippy one more time, our tracker, who's been doing a really great job, better than me personally, on keeping track of where all the items are, or at least when they've been found for each player. So really nice work. A lot of people doing kind of behind the scenes unheralded work so that the players and commentators kind of get to, I don't know, take the more prominent billing and kind of the front page exposure. So thanks so much to all of those folks.
By the way, my guess for Big Key and GT is bottom right chest in the room on the right.
This is why you're a master. We'll see if it pans out for him, but I feel like you've got the read.
What do I win if I get it right?
You tie for first.
Yeah.
Nice. With who?
You get to fight. It was Hotaru 2199, if I'm remembering right.
Like fist fight, or like actual fight, or like rando fight, or like a match.
I think
I'd lose in a fist fight actually, so I'd probably want a rando match. But
yeah, we can put it to referendum, but I think fisticuffs probably not the order here. So hopefully just a rando battle.
Yeah, that'll work out better for me. I'd rather not get up to do a fist fight,
That would take some time away from practicing, and
I'm in
also
favor of discouraging physical violence to settle tiebreakers.
Yeah, doesn't seem optimal.
Are you back doing Link to the Past full time now, TGH? You're doing some other games for a while.
I mean, I'm still not really. I mean, I would say that like I'll do probably half and half, like from now until maybe SGDQ, but I've definitely been doing more rando lately. I've been enjoying it more lately, so.
Yeah, I just came back to rando since the open tournament last fall, and I've been having a blast with it. I think V29's been pretty fun so far.
Yeah, I'm still kind of getting used to it. It doesn't seem all that much different from V28 so far, but with the exception of some of the obvious changes, like the cosmetic changes. But
I think the biggest logic change is that there's a greater chance of progression being in the overworld.
Yeah, it seems that way. I was actually really surprised that there was nothing in pod, by the way, to seed. Because like
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure my last like 5 or 6 seeds have had at least one progressive item in pod. So I went in the pod and I came out with nothing, and I'm like, are you serious? I just leave pod with nothing? Like, okay. This is weird.
Yeah.
Well, I was expecting you to get all 3 pendants just to get progression, excluding the
I almost did. I was gonna fight Landmo if the cane wasn't in Mire to get the green pendant.
I think
Yeah.
other than I think you skipped Aegina's cave.
Yeah, I didn't get Ice Shard Cave or Agana. But I wasn't willing to go back on those.
Yeah, the Keen was in the last of 3 possible places then when you opened that chest?
4, I believe. Because there was that one chest that had the cane, there was Green Pendant, Sahastula, there was Ice Shard Cave, and there was Agana. I don't think there was anything else.
Yeah, unless Shovel turned up, I think that was pretty much it.
Yeah.
But that was the last thing you had access to.
I'm pretty sure there was nothing else available.
Well, excellent run. It was very entertaining to watch, and
Thank
Odin
you.
just finished up his Ice Armor's fight.
Yeah, an hour and 44 by in-game time, but an hour 45 RTA with 171 locations. We can blame the mirror, but that is a really good rate for items per time.
Yeah, without the mirror, it would have been closer to 2 hours probably. It's probably not even an exaggeration.
Yeah, I don't doubt it at all. I think
There's a lot of exploration going on.
Especially with how late the flute and boots were, there just wouldn't have been a lot of good movement, or there would have been good movement, but not no aids to movement. So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, 2 hours without mirror seems entirely reasonable for the way this logic played out. So nice getting a 145 on this one. And we'll find out if you were right. Yep, nailed it. And we're getting the other chest checks. And it was the gold sword in top left.
Oh, nice.
You're 1 chest away from the better sword.
I don't think I would have wanted it anyway. Gold sword. I don't think gold sword actually would have saved me any time on anything.
I think you still got a 1-1 on Ganon, right?
Yeah, it was the 1-1, and plus it actually would have been slower. I think, not even counting the time taken to actually get the chest, because a lot of people don't realize actually gold sword creates a lot of lag in game.
That is something I didn't know. Do you know why that is?
I guess it's just more for the game to process. Like, that's the simple answer. That's the simple. I don't actually know what's happening answer. But yeah, gold sword definitely lags the game more than tempered sword. Also, mirror shield does the same thing.
Huh? Yeah, I didn't know that about either of those things.
I was gonna say, would you have preferred not to have found the silver arrows?
No, silvers are good. Silvers are fine. Silvers don't lag the game unless you use them. But actually, with gold sword and mirror shield, you don't even have to do anything. The game just lags more. Like, as is, like, it's really noticeable when you fight Helma or Trinex or something with the gold sword.
I'll have to watch it next time.
Even though both of those bosses are actually overall faster, I think, with the gold sword, because you can strike him less to kill him. There's definitely more lag going on. So it's slower for bosses that it's not actually advantageous for.
We were a little surprised that you didn't do phase 2 Helma with the hammer as well.
No, I'd tried that before. Swordless, it's actually really difficult. you can like, because with the sword you can like hold your sword out and extend the hitbox of your hammer. Like that actually happens. Like your hitbox actually like goes out a little bit further when you hold your sword out and use the hammer. But without a sword, that doesn't happen, and you have to. It's like, I don't know if it's like pixel perfect or anything, but it's very, very difficult to hit Helma. And I figured I didn't want to risk dying doing that.
Yeah, Hammer Helma Sword for me is hard enough with the sword. Like, that hitbox is already pretty tight, so without, I don't even want to think about trying to do that one.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the harder things to do.
Yeah, I was really impressed by your Argus fight, actually. Getting the 2 Fire Rod shots and then the Fighter Sword spin into the 2 Fire Rod shots to kill for Phase 2 was really nice.
Yeah, that's like exactly what we do in NMG. So like I've had a lot of practice doing that.
Yeah, with NMG though, of course you only you get the 1 cycle out of it, but
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
Just always good to to see a very clean, like with the 4 Fire Rod shots basically. Don't see it come up all that often. I saw one last night, but I always find it a little exciting.
The Fire Rod is the same as a Tempered Sword Slash in that fight?
I believe so.
I think it deals the same damage. I'm not sure. It's very weird, actually. Maybe you know why, TGH. In NMG, if you miss the 2 Fire Rod shots in the spin for Argus, getting a total of 2 Fire Rod shots in a spin over 2 cycles won't kill Argus. Do you know what that is?
Can you say that again? It's like, so you hit him with 2 Fire Rod shots, and you
do a tempered spin.
Yeah.
But then
you missed the spin.
So you 1 cycle. Yeah, that should kill Argus if you do 2 Fire Rod shots and 1 tempered spin.
Yeah, I've had it be where I've landed 2 Fire Rod or 1 Fire Rod shot in a spin and then gotten a Fire Rod shot on the 2nd cycle and it didn't kill.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
That might be a timing issue with the spin, canceling out the Fire Rod shot or something like that.
I don't know, but
Are you sure it wasn't a poke instead of a Fire Rod hit? You could have poked him by accident. That's my only thought. I don't know. This game is weird.
The poke will do Master Sword damage.
Yeah, the poke would make sense. I'm fairly confident that that's not what happened, but I'll just fire up the practice ROM after this and I'll give it a test. But I thought that it might have been something that was known that I just hadn't run into.
The poke will do Master Sword damage, so if you can finish him off with just another poke, then you know that's what it is.
Sure.
So Odin is doing his Agatu fight at the moment.
Let's see how he's able to handle this pattern. The first one getting just 1.
Really, really bad patterns on Agatu, unfortunately.
Yeah, Agatu had some weird patterns.
Yeah, that second round pattern where they all lined up looked really great until it was a blue ball.
Yep.
And I was like, come on.
Yep, that's typical.
And Odin was ready for the blue ball, kind of handled that one off from the left, but even still, it didn't work out great. And that was a nice pattern there to finish it off. I think he also got a 5 cycle with a double there to close. So on to Ganon. So good luck to Odin as he finishes up here. Gold sword, silver arrows. Health's a little low. I don't know exactly what he's got in his bottles right now. I think he still has a fairy.
I think he has 2 fairy. Oh no, he did buy that 1 red potion before Turtle Rock. I don't know if he used it.
Yeah, I saw a blue potion in his inventory a couple of screens back.
Okay, so he's got everything.
He was trying to buy potions and he got scolded for not having any empty bottles. So he's probably pretty loaded on potions.
He's got 3 bottles, presumably at least 1 fairy, a red potion, a blue potion. He's on to phase 2. See if he goes for cape strats here. He has half magic. Yep. A little bit of cape strats.
It's only 6 hits with the golden sword.
It feels much better than Cane of Burna strats for Ganon, which make, my god, the lag. with I guess Gold Sword, Mirror Shield, and Cane of Burna going, I can't. The game might just crash.
Slow to a halt, 0 FPS.
He's down to half a heart, so he uses something.
Yeah, presumably he's got
That was a nice dodge.
Yeah, Ganon also with the nice dodge, sidestepping that silver arrow, unfortunately, so we're still 4 hits to go. We're getting a double, and... Okay, we're gonna need one more round.
That was a nice Ganon fight.
Yeah, there it is. So we'll see if Odinspack can beat the bridge boss, and we'll see what time he finishes up with. But, no, at risk of... Okay, there we go. And now I can say officially GG to Odinspack. Gonna finish up with an official time here of 2 hours, 15 minutes, and 22 seconds. Well, that just happened. Nice finish there for Odinspack. See if he wants to come in for an interview here, share his thoughts on the seed. I'll be interested in some of his decision making as far as some of the early game routing. I think he did a lot of what I would have done, but I just kind of want to hear it in his words, see what he was thinking, why he went where he did.
What his issue at the end there was the time it took to go to Spike Cave, but it's impossible to fault anybody for that because that is such a trolling spot to go to.
Yeah, it's possible, but I mean, as TGH was highlighting there, that first pass Death Mountain routing didn't lead to a clean way to route in Spike Cave, even if they'd had the Cane of Burna on that first trip, and so, you know, I could see that location of having slipped even if they had all the gear for it, just because it's such an inconvenient spot, as you worded it, a terminal spot.
Yeah, my point for mentioning that wasn't necessarily that it would have been ideal to route in, just the fact that it was accessible by the logic very early.
Yeah, having everything you need for that from, I believe it was all like first sphere items.
It was, because the cane was in the dam, and then mirror and hammer were definitely sphere 1 items.
Yeah, and I see we've been joined by Odinspack. GG, Odinspack.
Good game,
GG.
Yo, GG, dude.
Oh man, that was pretty bad. Not gonna lie.
It was a weird seed. Lots of inconvenient places for a couple items.
Yeah, Flute and Samaria really.
Yeah.
That ruined me for sure. That was pretty much my race there.
Yeah, you were down to I think Flute was. I think it was the last accessible location for you, other than Green Pendant.
I thought about it. I was like, at this rate, maybe I should just do that. I pretty much full cleared it at this rate. So
yeah,
Oof.
I'm trying to remember if there was any other location. I don't know if you track your locations while you're running, but I think that all you had was Green Pendant and Spike Cave at that point, if I'm remembering right. Which I'm probably not. That
sounds right. I'm pretty sure. I didn't track my locations. Perhaps I should. I made some really I'd say like a bad decision. Well, not bad decision, bad play when I was in Hera, and I died at the tile room, and I was like, well, that could be something, and I just decided to ditch it. It ended up being nothing, of course. Yeah, that was rough. You kind of got stuck in peg jail there. Yeah. and like with just the hammer, it's just like, oh my god! And you tried B strats. I thought it was gonna work, but didn't.
It almost got you there. You were so late in the tile formation. We'd already seen what that location was because TGH had done Death Mountain early and had full cleared Hera before going over to Eastern or South Shore. And so we knew it was nothing. We were just like, oh, please, please, just leave.
Yeah, I had thought about doing that because a lot of stuff was already available right after Kakariko, and I thought about doing it. Like getting through the dark room there isn't too bad. So
Well, it was a good choice to abandon it, because most likely you would not have had to go back there. There was really nothing wrong with your routing. It was just you had to go to a lot of places, and you had to make a lot of long trips.
yeah, this is it's how it went. I don't think it was really that trolly or anything like that. I think I just got some bad plays, maybe like just some bad gambles.
Yeah, Eastern didn't pan out. So after Kakariko, you and TGH were presented with really kind of three branches to go down, whether it was to go to South Shore, go to Eastern, or go up to Death Mountain. And you went to Eastern, TGH went to Death Mountain, and no one did South Shore. And that was really interesting because you normally don't see those locations, those kind of first sphere locations left so late in a V29 seed. But I don't think TGH got back down there until after an hour.
I just figured, like, I had the tools to beat Eastern. It was a crystal, so I thought maybe it might lead me towards something. So I decided might as well do it.
So I actually have one question. When you first went to Dark World, when you first checked the dam, you mirrored there from the Dark World, and then you went back to Dark World, went over, and then mirrored to Mini Moldorn Cave. Were you planning on taking a different route after Mini Moldorn Cave that you wanted to keep your portal for?
Honestly, I'm trying to remember back to that. I think I just decided like I can try to do a dungeon. I was like, oh, I can do the Kakariko stuff. Maybe I should take the spot on that because I didn't have flippers, so I knew a lot of that stuff wasn't in the logic. So I was like, I'll go up to Thieves Town area, and then I dipped in the Skull Woods and just forgot I didn't have a sword, and that was bad. So.
Yeah, we're glad that you dipped out on that one because we're talking about it and we're like, oh no, this is coming, and we're gonna see you get to this vine curtain and it's just gonna feel bad. And you remembered before you got all the way in, and that felt pretty good.
Yeah, at that point I was basically there though, so that was kind of no well.
And until you walk up to it and start trying to slash it and just watch your character like fist pump against the wall, that's as bad as it gets, and
Yeah,
I've totally done it.
Yeah, half credit at least for mirroring out.
And I saved a second or two. What was really bad was I ran a practice seed before this, and there was a sword in the library, and that just crossed over into this. I was like, oh, I got boots, and I can get a sword now. So I'm probably never gonna do that again. I'm never gonna play a seed before a race because that's confused me.
Yeah, back-to-back randos for me. I'm in the same space where like they'll bleed over into each other, and I'll think I've checked locations, or I'll think that items are like at a spot for. I thought that like my Go Mode Bombos the other week was over in library, and I get there and it's like a red rupee. It never feels good when that happens. I'm glad that there wasn't any apparent instance of that in this one.
No, there was nothing really. I don't think that was really too confusing about it. I just went in the wrong locations. I think a lot of the pendant stuff didn't have to be done, right? To my knowledge.
I don't believe any of the pendant stuff needs to be done.
I don't think any of it did. I think Burna
was blank.
Was, but I think that's all he had.
No, Burna was South Shore. Burna was
was
in
the
the dam.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
looking at your
again, I may be confusing this with
Fair.
You only had 6 items more than TGH did. Looking at the final 177 collection rate. but both of you guys ended up going to most of the same spots.
Yeah, I encourage you to watch this back. It was really interesting to watch because there was that early post Kakariko divergence. But one thing I wanted to ask that was kind of on my list of things was there any play you made, or were there any sort of gambles you decided to take based on the fact that your round 2 matchup was a player of TGH's caliber who's just so strong at rando consistently?
I knew that going in, and I was like, I'm gonna make some dumb decisions, and and honestly, the one play I should have done was go into Meyer, and that's what I like. There was decisions like that I feel like I should have made. But as far as making a gamble on anything, I don't think I did anything too crazy. I did a lot of back and forth, but I don't think I went anything too nuts in terms of gambling.
Fair enough. Well, I'm seeing that Zelnas is imploring us to wrap it up so he can prep for his match an hour. Was there anything else that you wanted to comment on or share about the seed, or that you wanted to mention?
Honestly, not that I can think of. It was fun. I appreciate the opportunity. Like I said, I knew I was going against someone tough. So if I want to compete, then I gotta practice. So that's all I really gotta say. Congrats again to TGH.
Thanks, man. GG on the race.
GG.
Yeah, I mean you're
Congratulations,
1-1
guys.
now, so there's still 5 more rounds of Swiss, so plenty of opportunity to run into players who maybe are less of a buzzsaw. But yeah, thank you. GG to you both. Really appreciate you letting Tiru and I commentate the race.
Fun race to watch. Thank you, guys.
I'm glad it was entertaining at least.
Absolutely. So one more time, I'll say if you guys enjoyed the race, feel free to go give TGH and Odinspack a follow. Those guys are the reason that we have this race to enjoy. And also, big thanks again to Zelnas for the restream, and Kippy for the tracking, and Tiru for the co-commentary with me. Had a lot of fun.
Thank you, Maniacal, and thank you everybody else for helping out.
All right, take it easy. Have a great day, everyone. Plenty more rando, pretty much any speed gaming or a Link to the Past randomizer channel all day through like 2 a.m.